Welcome, friends and fiends, to the Cryptique Podcast. My name's Kenny. I'm here with my good friends today, Godden and John. And together, we're all here to watch and review every horrific, often hilarious episode of the legendary HBO anthology series, Tales from the Crypt. And here we are today. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Cryptique Podcast. My name's Kenny, here with John and Godden. We have a special guest today, Godden.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
We have a special guest. Hello, John. Good morning.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for the welcome. And I'm happy to be part of your podcast and that you guys have been hammering each episode through. And I'm happy to be part of it, especially on this episode. I specifically wanted to talk about this one.
Yeah, Godden and I are making an effort to, reach out to our friends. And if any of our friends have any favorite episodes or memorable episodes, we want to have them on the podcast so they can talk about it. And today, John's episode, Cutting Cards. We'll get to that in just a bit. We'll get to the specifics of the episode. But before we do, with a new guest, I want to ask that you give us your origin story. So tell us your history with horror.
Oh, origin. Okay, yes. I would, I had a fear of horror movies, as most children do, coming out of the 80s and 90s. And especially Child's Play. I don't know, it just freaked me out. That was one of I would say I had a kind of a Mount Rushmore of horror movies, particularly in the 90s. I'm born in 1988, so it would have been Child's Play, the first one. Okay. It, the miniseries with Tim Curry, which I only had the first half of growing up. We had it on tape, but my dad taped it from, TBS or something. So it was just an unfortunate event because that movie ends with a very scary suicide and for a kid to watch. But it was a different time. You watch things that are scary more often when you're growing up in the 90s. And then the other ones are Halloween, one of my all-time favorite movies. And then finally, I would be probably remiss without talking about Friday the 13th, which was another major sort of movement in the direction of horror when I was a little bit older. 12 or 13 is older in this case.
Yeah, so you sound similar to me in that you're watching those horror movies as a kid. And similar to Godden in that I like that you mentioned Child's Play, because that's Godden's favorite. Godden's favorite is Child's Play.
Yes, Child's Play, one of my favorites.
It's good. It's good. I like the first 3.5.
3.5. Which one was the one? Oh, let me guess. It was the miniseries?
No, I'm talking about I liked 3.5 of the Child's Play movies.
Oh, yes. Oh, I thought you were saying you liked 3.5 of the movies that I mentioned.
I liked all the movies you mentioned. I'll take all of them. All right. So welcome, John. Thank you for sharing your origin story. We're going to get to the episode, but I'm going to do something that we don't normally do. I'm going to retroactively change a score. So Last episode, we talked about the switch. The Schwarzenegger episode where he kept changing out parts of his body to become younger, and then eventually he loses everything. After we recorded that episode last week, Godden, I have not stopped thinking about it. And I'm going to bump it to a 5. Okay. It's a 5.
Okay.
I think I was,
it is a fun one.
I think I was unfairly harsh on the episode because I was trying to hedge on the fact that Schwarzenegger directed it. So I was like, oh my gosh, how much of this is me enjoying it versus how much of it is just I'm such a Schwarzenegger fanboy.
Right.
And
yeah,
I came to terms with maybe that's part of the episode, the fanboyness in me and enjoying the episode. I always look forward to it. And I got to tell you, when we put it on last week to watch it, I got giddy. I was like, oh, it's this episode. I got so excited about watching it. And if I had a friend who'd never watched the Tales from the Crypt shows, I would absolutely say no, this is one we're watching. We got to go to this one. This is one of the ones we're going to watch. So it's a 5 for me. I'm going to bump it up to a 5. I don't want to get in the habit of doing this, but in this case, I just couldn't stop thinking about how much I think it wasn't worth a 4. I think it's a 5. So there you go. I'm going to change it to a 5. And it's our podcast. We can do whatever we want. Okay.
That's true. That's true. You're so like, oh, I don't know if I should do this. Kenny, this is. You do whatever you want. I'm glad you
so today we're here to talk about season 2, episode 3, Cutting Cards. It aired April 21st, 1990, and it comes to us from the comic Tales from the Crypt. So it's an actual Tales from the Crypt comic. It stars Lance Henriksen. I know him from being in The Terminator, and he was the original idea of James Cameron for being the Terminator. It wasn't until James Cameron met Arnold Schwarzenegger that he realized, oh crap, Arnold's a big dude. He does look like a Terminator. So it wasn't until that moment that we had Schwarzenegger. Before then, it was supposed to be Lance Henriksen. So that's how I know him. He was also in Aliens. He was in the Quick and the Dead.
I like Quick and the Dead as a film. But Lance Henriksen, there's actually a couple of different sort of James Cameron sort of tendrils that like seep into this Cutting Cards episode. Another one is that the music is by James Horner, which is obviously a very famous music composer who did Titanic. And he did the music of this episode. And then also the Lance Henriksen.
I knew James Horner did the music for this episode, but it was lost on me that James Horner also did the music to Titanic. I didn't know that.
Titanic and The Abyss.
Yeah, The Abyss. Okay, I didn't know that James Horner. I knew James Horner, and I knew, he's a pretty famous musician or conductor. But I didn't know that he did those specific movies. Right on. Yeah,
Avatar. I think James Cameron loves James Horner so much that he just used him very frequently.
James Cameron is such he always has his hands in everything: directing, editing, producing, writing. I just thought, I wouldn't have surprised me if he did his own music too. I think, did he write the theme for The Terminator?
The Terminator 2? I'm not sure. That's a great question. We should probably look that up.
All right.
If anything, you should know that. That's your area.
All right. Well, let's see here.
I don't know. Yeah.
John, while you look that up, I am going to get us acquainted with the episode by reading the ancient texts inked in blood on the back of this DVD box set here. Cutting Cards. Who's got the losing hand, forearm, elbow? Find out in a shockingly high-stakes game of poker. That's the short description. With 18 episodes this season, I think they really are trying to have the synopsis on the back of the DVD box as short as possible.
Very short, yeah. And especially with the pedigree of Hollywood A-listers, right, that were involved in this movie. They really have these tiny little episodes, right? 23-minute episodes for, Robert Zemeckis is involved, Joel Silver, and James Horner, Richard Donner.
Yeah. And, we touched on that a while ago, John. I'm glad you brought that up again. That is something that I think is a benefit to the show. I love that the episodes are just, they're like a typical half-hour episode with commercial. There's no commercials in HBO, but they're 20 minutes long. I think that's like a perfect length for it because a lot of the episodes end and you want more of it. And that feeling of wanting more is so important at the end of a movie. You never want to get to an end of a movie or a show and think to yourself, oh, finally. You always want to be left wanting more. And I think a 20-minute episode is perfect for having the pacing go by really quick and then it ends and then you want more, but then you're on to the next episode. I think that's what kind of helps Tales from the Crypt endure, even with all the big names involved. Because today, by today's standards, with so many big names involved, the producers, the directors, the actors, you would think this is like an hour and a half episode. You don't need that much. You just need how long it takes to tell the story and then you move on. And that's enough.
It's not,
and there's no commercials, so they don't go to a commercial and have the Crypt Keeper come in and ask how you're doing and tell some jokes and all right, back to the episode.
Yeah, that would be interesting, huh? I never thought about that dynamic, but there's never an episode where halfway through the episode we go back to the Crypt Keeper as a little reminder that he's telling the story. We just from start to finish he tells a single story.
There's no time. There's only 20 minutes.
All right, so the Crypt Keeper intro here. We have the Crypt Keeper playing poker, and I don't know if you noticed this, but his opponent, the person he's playing against, actually has their cards fanned out, and they have 5 jacks. Is that possible in poker? Do you play with more than one deck?
I don't think so. I think 5. I did see the 5 jacks, and I think that was a sight gag.
Okay. Yeah. By the way, there were 2 jack of diamonds. That was the doubled.
Oh. Yeah, I noticed that there were 5 jacks, and I wrote that down too because I thought, was that supposed to be the the joke of the week or something.
I don't know if it was a joke. I just noticed
the
there were
Crypt
5,
Keeper?
and there 4 would be the max you can have. Maybe that's
Well,
like
the Crypt
overkill.
Keeper is like a little rascal, so maybe he just put the 5 jacks in the opponent's hand.
And the Crypt Keeper is totally dressed up in the attire. He's got the dealer visor on. All he's missing basically was like a cigarette. I don't know if they could have done that with the practical effects, but if he had a cigarette in his mouth, I thought that would have really, really made him look the part. So Crypt Keeper says, tonight's tale from my collection of terror tomes is about a couple of real sharpies who will do anything for a stab at the jackpot. So ante up, fellas. The game's about to begin. We got some more alliterations there. Tonight's tale, terror tomes. I always like his alliterations. I always like how the Crypt Keeper does his intro. So that's what we have there. Cut to the opening panel. Looks like we've got a man dressed in like a dark suit and a dark cowboy hat, holding a revolver to his head. He's sweating. Beads of sweat are coming down his forehead. And then he's staring at a menacing looking man. Older man with white hair kind of staring at his cards. And then behind that even is dice being rolled. And then behind that is a roulette wheel. So we have this whole like layering of things.
The panel tells the entire story of the episode, it looks like. They start with I think that you'll likely go through the plot, but they start with the dice rolling and then they go to Russian roulette. And then finally, of course, they end on the drop poker. I mean, it's very and it fully encompasses panel, in my opinion, and I don't think that you could go wrong with what they've chosen to do here.
I like that you said that they basically go through the entire episode. I was thinking the only thing they would need is like a severed limb somewhere, but that might give the twist away. All right, the opening scene is we have like this sharp dressed cowboy driving on the city streets. He gets out of the car and it's like a dark night and a lot of flashy colors out in the streets. And I got the impression that it was supposed to be like some kind of maybe a dark alley on a Vegas strip because he ends up walking into a casino. So my thoughts were like, oh, he's arriving at Vegas. This guy's arriving at Vegas. But when he actually goes into the casino, a waitress comes up to him who seems to recognize him or she does recognize him. She says, oh, if it isn't Reno Crevice. So she knows this guy. And she says
this is a famous guy in town. He walks by and people are like, oh, there goes Reno Crevice.
Yeah, very famous guy in this town. He seems to have a reputation. He hasn't been in town in a while because he's been in Vegas. So he's actually coming from Vegas. So yeah, I always just assumed that the episode took place in Vegas, but I guess it doesn't. Until I looked at it a little more closely, I realized, oh, he was from Vegas and now he's visiting. He's back in town.
Well, what's the town though? Are they in Reno? Are we, like Reno's in my head when I'm watching the episode? The name's Reno. Yeah. What town are there? There's only 2 cities in
Reno's in Reno,
Nevada. There's only Reno and Vegas. So where is he?
Well, if you ever drive through Nevada, like every gas station, there's like a small casino. So
yes, that's true.
They could be like in Anytown, Nevada somewhere.
Anytown, Nevada. Yeah, like even when you just show up in a Safeway, you can play slots while you're shopping for bread.
So the waitress walks up to him and says, well, if it isn't Reno Crevice, haven't seen you in a long time. He does say he's in Vegas, but otherwise he's very cards close to the chest kind of a guy. He doesn't really tell you what he's up to, what he's doing. Very like mysterious kind of a tough guy persona he's got going on. So she gives him a free drink ticket. So she likes him enough to give him a free drink. And then she warns him that Sam Forney is already at the high stakes poker table. And he's not happy about that. There's something going on between him and Sam Forney. He doesn't seem to like this guy. Do you think this waitress was like maybe like an old love interest or like an old flame between these two? Or were they just friends?
I didn't get that vibe, honestly. Maybe it's just what you guys said earlier. He's just that famous. People just know about him. More so than like that had an actual like connection between the character.
It's the lore building. They're just being like, well, these two know each other. In case we ever wanted to do a backstory.
Yeah, I didn't get the impression there's a love story either. But for some reason in film or TV shows or whatever, whenever I see a man and a woman and they're like talking, I'm always like, oh, Where's the love story?
Do they?
I
guess I
know,
wanted
it's
there
so
to be a
true.
love story, but there wasn't much evidence that there was. Like, there wasn't like an embrace or anything like that. It looked like just kind of a friendly encounter.
I would prefer it if there's not a love story sometimes.
Yeah, I guess I agree with you, John, but I guess I expect it.
And in fact, this is maybe a hint to what's coming. But I
Yeah.
think that there might be a love story
There
in
might
this.
be.
I think this is a love story.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love this
Yeah.
angle. Oh, I'm gonna be taking this angle all the way through the episode. I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. There, these characters we're gonna learn. This is a love story. Okay, I like that. So the next scene, he goes to the bar to get his drink, and he orders a whiskey shooter. Because a whiskey shooter is a manly man drink. This guy is a real, like, head honcho type guy. And the bartender here, I immediately recognize this bartender. Did you recognize this bartender, Godden?
No, I didn't. But seeing your notes, I was like, wow, is it really?
Yeah, this bartender is the same actor who was the bartender in The Man Who Was Death. So I wonder if it is actually the same bartender. I don't know if he calls him by name. I didn't dig that much into it, but I realized that they're both the same actor. And then while I was doing that research, because I wanted to be sure, it's also the same actor who played that mad scientist doctor from the last episode, The Switch.
Maybe it's just all in the same universe, That's just his hobby. That's the scientist.
He's the crypt keeper, like the secret crypt keeper that shows up in every episode, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know how often they have like reoccurring characters like that, but I like seeing it. It would be nice if every time there was a scene at a bar, he was a bartender. It would be nice if there was like one stable person who would like kind of... Yeah. That would be fun.
I kind of think I love that. Black Mirror has a couple of characters that show up in multiple episodes as well. So like it's not completely unknown to the anthology type universe or anthology type shows to explore sort of particularly character actors who can show up in similar roles throughout multiple episodes.
That's interesting. And I like Black Mirror. I've seen quite a few of the episodes, but they're the types of episodes. I don't know what it is about. Maybe are Black Mirror episodes hour long?
There's a variety. Some are 40 minutes, some are an hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
So it depends. There's no one set standard for any of them.
Oh boy, we just talked about timing too. And I think that might be, if an episode's an hour long, it's kind of hard to just sit there and like.
It's like a movie though.
Yeah. I don't think I've watched any Black Mirror episodes more than once. I think once I watch it, I see the twist. I see how it goes. I'm like over it.
Many of them are that way for me too, but I would watch them again. I would watch the one with Jesse Plemons. I think it's called the Starship. I forgot the name of it. That's probably not very good. That probably doesn't. The one I love the most, and I don't know the name.
I think it was called USS Callister.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I would. Let's re-roll. My favorite episode, which I know very well, USS Callister of Black Mirror, is one that is extremely long, and I would rewatch.
Okay,
it's a two-parter.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. Now you're a big fan of the show too.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's a two-parter for the one for John's favorite one.
Yeah,
because it did so well. They had to.
For.
Yeah, it did so well. They had to pick a part two.
I just feel like a lot of Black Mirror episodes are the same thing. Like, oh no, we're in this virtual reality.
They are.
Yeah.
So after he visits with the bartender, oh, by the way, before he leaves, the bartender warns him, hey, Sam Forney's over there at the high stakes table. And it seems like either a lot of people are like intimidated or scared of this Sam Forney character. And our main character here, Reno, is not having it. Every time Sam Forney comes up, he goes, I beat him all the time. I'm not worried about him. So there's definitely some tension between Reno and Sam Forney before they even meet. And I like this kind of elusive character out there somewhere, kind of like you said, lore building before we actually get to the two characters meeting. So I definitely like the setup for how this is going. So when Reno finally makes his way to the high stakes poker table, I love our introduction to Sam Forney. He's sitting there playing solitaire by himself.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I love that he's at a high stakes poker table all by himself, just playing solitaire. He's just hanging out playing solitaire.
That's what big whales do on their downtime, is they play solitaire to pass the time.
Right. They're probably betting tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars per hand. But, on their spare time, they're going to play some solitaire.
I know. In a room with no one else in it. There's no one else. He's the only one playing poker against him. He's so high stakes. No one has the money to play against him.
So these two men, then they start to banter back and forth. And you can definitely see that there's a history between the two. They've played poker in the past and they argue about who's better at what. And, one of them brags, well, I took $10,000 from you. And the other one brags, well, I took your car. And they kind of go back and forth. So there's a lot of tension between the two characters on who the better gambler is, I suppose. And they decide that they're going to have one final match. Not for money, though. They are going to play to see who has to leave town. So whoever loses this match, this tournament, whatever you want to call it, the loser has to leave town and never come back. And Reno says, all right, but no cards. And he flings the cards into the air and he says, I like to roll the dice. And he rolls the dice and he throws it down and out come 2 6s. He says, boxcars. Too bad, Sam. Guess you'll have to gas up your wagon. And then Sam accepts the premise. He takes the dice, and I love how he puts the dice and he shakes it. And I don't know if you guys got this, but the look of like excitement on his face when he was shaking it. His lips were trembling. He could barely contain his excitement. Like, this man clearly loves to gamble. He's shaking it. He throws it down. Out come 2 6s, and just the giddiness on his face was just unbelievable. He's got such a rush.
I know.
He was like, oh, yeah, baby, I'm on fire now.
And the actor who plays this character, Kevin Teague, who is also, he was John Locke's dad in Lost. I think that it's his character that made it so memorable to me this episode, because he just has like a giddy looking face, especially for an older guy. And you can't contain his smile. Like he's got a menacing look about him, but also somehow he's got a very watchable face.
Yeah, he does a great job in this entire episode, because he does go back. He goes through so many emotions so often in so many scenes. He absolutely hates, despises Reno, right? And he just has always a look of contempt on his face. But then when he's gambling, he's like super into it. And he gets that like giddiness on his face. And then there's also a moment later on where he sides with Reno. He's kind of on his side for a little bit, kind of standing up for his friend. But then when it goes back to gambling, he turns that face back on like that mean smolder look on. Yeah, he does. He goes through so many. He is a standout in this episode. He does a great job throughout the entire. It is fun to watch him.
Yeah, everyone's on like 100%, but I think that he is the runaway success of the. I mean, I'm surprised that he's not in more sort of campy things like this.
Yeah, I only know him from this and from Lost. I watched Lost, and I definitely know John Locke's dad, and he was also a con man in that episode or in that show.
Yeah, he can only be this character.
It's in his contract. He only plays characters like this.
He's typecast.
Godden, did you watch Lost?
Maybe the first season. So I didn't recognize that was his dad or anything like that if he did show up in the first season.
Oh, and he comes up, it's much later seasons, like 3 or 4 or something like that. Yeah. So this Sam Forney guy, he wants to keep going. He wants to keep rolling the dice. But Reno says, no more. Reno says, son of a bitch, I got a better way of settling this. Russian roulette. And this is, I think, where the episode starts. Like, the way they escalate from rolling dice to see who's going to leave town to, okay, now we're doing Russian roulette. Like, these guys are crazy. They're just both so crazy. Yeah. And I think you're onto something when you say they're in love. Like, these two men were absolutely made for each other. Nobody else would be willing to play to leave town. Nobody else would be willing to play to the death. Like, these guys are just, no matter what, they want to gamble, and they want to gamble together.
It went from like a 3 to like a 10. There was no slow ramp. It just popped.
Yeah. Like, that's it, Russian roulette. And then Sam, without missing a beat, I got a 44 out in my glove compartment of my car. Like, let's do it.
Well, they'll have 20 minutes to work with. They have to jump somewhere, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's sort of the conceit of Tales from the Crypt, is that you gotta tell the story. You gotta get pacing down.
Yeah. And speaking of, I'm glad you two both brought up pacing at the same time, because this next scene here, when they go to the back alley, and Sam takes out his gun, and Reno insists that he puts the one bullet in the chamber, spins it, slaps it shut, and then they go back and forth. And this scene to me feels like this was the point of the episode, was the tension of them going back and forth and back and forth. And they take it so slow and they savor each moment. And this is where the episode really slows down, and not to a fault, because it's exciting watching it, even though it's going by pretty slowly. But for the amount of time they spend in this back alley, it makes you feel like, okay, this is the point of the episode. This is kind of the twist.
I would agree.
This is kind of what's going on. So it does move on eventually. We'll get there. But for now, I want to kind of savor this scene. What did you guys like about or think about this scene in the back alley?
Just want to give it a go, John. This is your favorite episode.
So I agree with you that they do slow down. And the whole point that sort of the Crypt Keeper's making in the beginning about the cards, and they make a lot of allusions to the fact that this is all about a card game, right? This is a big poker. This is a big gamble in the cards. But it ends up being that the majority of the episode is spent in a back alley, and it's just these two guys going back and forth over, like, you know, sizing each other up and seeing how far each other will go, pushing each other to the limit of, you know, of their lives. And doing it all like in a cocaine rage. I feel like this couldn't have been made today, because I feel like there aren't usually two actors that are willing to go so over the top as actors used to be able to go. Right now, you will get one actor like Nicolas Cage or something that will go over the top, but no one's willing to match. And they're willing to match each other, both in terms of the actors are matching each other's energy, and also the characters themselves are matching each other's like willingness to go forward with this like life or death game.
That's a really good point, John. And it makes me think, I don't think this could have been made today, because back then, like you said, they're willing to go over the top with the camp, with the overacting. Today, I feel like the buzzword today is like nuance, like a nuanced performance, like real subtle. And that's what they want to go for. But, you know, when you're watching these cheesy, campy horror episodes and you want to have some fun with an episode, but dial the camp up to 11. Yeah. Let's see where it goes. And both of these characters were absolutely willing to go there. And I loved every moment of it. Yeah.
And as well, I don't know if you could depict Russian roulette anymore, because it's like, you'd have to have a disclaimer.
Right. Yeah, it would be triggering, so to speak.
Triggering
for episodes.
Oh, triggering for a weapon. I like that. No, they actually showed Russian roulette recently on one of the bigger shows, Squid Games. They had a scene where they were doing Russian roulette.
This was on HBO as well, so I think it may be just you can't show it on cable.
Yeah, honestly, this whole scene was actually like my favorite part of the episode, because I kind of like. I like firearms, so when I saw like the details for the snub nose, I was like, that's great, because when Sam was pulling the trigger, you see the hammer pull back for the double action. I was like, oh, that's nice, because a lot of the Russian roulette scenes I see in movies and shows, they already cock the hammer back, but seeing just like the tension of him slowly squeezing the trigger, and then the hammer goes back to now become live at that point, and then he has to pull it just a tiny bit, like maybe like a quarter of a pound now at that point, and snaps in. I'm like, oh, that's just neat with all the sound effects. So they make it really loud as well. It's like, yeah, if he was wrong, he was 100% dead. And I'm not sure if you guys remember, but at one point, after I think Sam pulls I think Sam was about to pull the trigger on himself for the 50-50, or before the 50-50, the random car and his like lady, like the random guy and his lady just shows up in the car, and then I guess Reno, had a little verbal confrontation with the person, and then Sam's like, "Leave my friend alone," and points the gun at him. I was like, "What the hell?"
He's defending his lover.
Yeah. That's the moment I was talking about, where like he suddenly becomes his friend again. Yeah.
What? I enjoyed it. It was awesome.
That was great. That was good to see Sam stick up for his good friend Reno. And you can see that maybe these two, under different circumstances, could have a very deep and profound friendship even. Maybe they were friends at one point and something happened between the two.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much of that feeling is love for one another. Yeah, this I think this is a love story. I think you hit the nail on the head there. Now, here's a question. That 50-50, it was Sam. Sam was getting ready to pull the trigger for a 50-50. The bullet's either there or it's in the next chamber. And then a car pulls up and then Reno gets distracted. Do you think Sam used that opportunity to take the bullet out or to move the bullet in some way?
Oh, maybe. I didn't think of that because Reno always says he's a cheater. Like when he starts saying he's a dirty cheat, I'm like, oh, if that's like the case, he actually just could have just done that off screen.
Yeah.
Because Reno was distracted, yeah.
We also get distracted though, because the camera pulls away from Sam, and we see the car pull up. So we the viewers and Reno both get distracted. So what is Sam up to in that that 5 to 10 seconds while he's off screen?
I think that there's a likelihood that he could have either changed the bullet to a different bullet that was a dud. I don't see how it could have been beneficial to move the bullet through the chamber one more or whatever. They went through every shot, so. The only thing that I think he could have done is change the bullet.
Yeah.
But there was no allusion to that anyway.
Yeah, there wasn't. And I just thought maybe that could have been, what happened. So, because what ends up happening is Sam takes that 50-50 shot and there's nothing happens. So then there's only one chamber left where the bullet needs to be. And Reno absolutely refuses to back down. And he goes through with it. And nothing happens. So either the bullet was in fact just a dud, or Sam was up to something. We don't really know, and I don't think the director or the writer intended to know. I think it's nice not knowing and kind of piecing it together on your own. Maybe it was fate. Maybe fate just said, nope, this bullet's a dud, and you two are gonna live together forever. You can't end yourself, because you have to live the rest of your life with the love of your life.
And Reno, the whole time, every time he had to take a shot, he's like, hey, you're distracting me. You're distracting me. I need to focus on this. I don't understand the focus part, but I think that it was a nice little addition.
Yeah.
He explains it a little bit. When he kept saying that, he's like, you have to feel the metal warm up to your skin. You have to feel when you're squeezing it. He's like thinking about each little moment, like we were saying earlier, like just making it savory, because it is a do or die
moment.
Yeah, so he was just trying to like really feel every single second of him being alive until maybe he wasn't lucky enough, because he kept also saying, I'm just the luckiest guy. I've always been a lucky guy. It's like, okay, maybe
and I noticed that in this whole back and forth, Sam took a lot of time to really take it slow, and you can see his face like anticipation, like fear, and then when it's blank, you see that relief, and you see that rush he gets from gambling with his life, right? You see that swell, and then with Reno, I feel like he was more like just boom, just get it over with. I feel like Reno would like jump into a cold pool, and Sam would be like he'd go in slowly. I feel like that was kind of the dynamic between the two.
Different gamblers,
different style.
But knowing gambler, I do know a gambler, and I think that there is something to be said for what Godden alluded to, which was that you do need to like feel it. There's a lot of like what do you call that? Superstition that goes along with it, right? So like if you're just in the right mind space, then you can sort of fix the situation to be what it should be. Like if you wait 1 second longer, then you won't get the same card. If you go a little too early, then there would be a bullet. That type of thing.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. I definitely agree with being in the right mindset, because with gambling or with anything that involves, thinking or making a decision, you do want to be in the right mindset. You don't want to get tilted and then just start saying, oh, to hell with this, and then just making dumb decisions. So I think that, you do want to be in the right decision, but waiting an extra 5 seconds to draw a card versus drawing it 3 seconds earlier, like that doesn't, the card is the card is the card. That's the card that's going to come out. So.
That's what we know to be true, because we're not gamblers. But some people are superstitious. It depends on the timing, depends on the feel of it, depends on it. It's in our heads. Okay, I'm just saying that, like, the card, I agree with you. The card is the card, but that's not how, wishful thinking works.
Yeah.
All right. So after the bullet's a dud, they go back and forth on accusing each other of cheating and whatnot. So then, I forget who it was, but one of them, I think it was Reno, who says, "That's it, chop poker." And this is where we get our final, right? This is, by the way, I timed it, 14 minutes into the episode. And the episode altogether is 19 minutes. So with 5 minutes to spare, we finally get to the final scene that is what I think to be like the twist or the final punch, right? So in this scene, they are they're at a poker table, and they actually have a dealer this time, so it's not just the two of them. There's a dealer, and he's dealing them poker, and they're playing back and forth. And who loses the first hand? It was Sam. Sam loses the first hand.
Mm-hmm.
And
the pinky.
He loses his pinky. That's right. And I love, so when he loses, Reno holds up a cleaver, and and the fear in Sam's face. Be careful, just one. And he goes whack, and he lobs off one of his fingers. And I love in this moment, because I think the director could have gone one of two ways. They could have just had the cleaver come down and whack, and then see his reaction, or they could have actually shown the finger being severed off. And they went with the more gory showing it. And I like that. Mm-hmm. I like that they showed it. I think it would have been more tasteful if they just kind of alluded to it, but being able to see it, I feel like it just, I liked being able to see it. I like that practical effect.
Yeah. I'm on your side with that. I would prefer to show it also, because just a shot of a hand and then the cut, and it goes away, and then a cut to his face, his reaction, very, very well done, very well acted. And I like the score underneath is like kind of whimsical and comedic. Like it was like letting the viewers know, hey, this is a joke, by the way. This is not like really happening. Nobody's really getting hurt right here. This is just for fun, and let's have fun with it.
Yeah. All right, and this is it. This is where we spend the most of the rest of the episode. There is like 30 seconds at the end, but for the most part, they're just playing their hands back and forth, and the loser loses a limb or a finger or something. They just kind of go back and forth between chopping pieces of each other off after they lose. And this, to me, I know this is the twist. I know this is the whole point of the episode, but even still, when I think back to this episode, I do think back to the Russian roulette. Like that really was the bulk of the episode, and where we spent the most of our time, and where we got to see them really ham it up with the acting. So this to me is always like, oh, it's that Russian roulette episode, even though I know that it's the episode where they play for body parts.
There's these two security guards that are just watching, and then also they enlist a guy to do the card, and then they're just perfectly fine. These people are perfectly fine with this happening. Right? Like, oh, chop poker? Yeah, I'll deal.
Yeah, chop poker. Yeah, they know what chop poker is.
In that town, yeah.
And chop poker, that's a game you can only play once, I suppose, right? I guess you could play it 10 times if you're going to go for your fingers. But they had all their limbs. They had.
They lose their feet.
Right. From what we can tell, they had all their limbs in the start of the episode. So this very well could be their very first time playing it, but they're familiar enough with it to to go for it.
Or they've played this before, but they've never lost until now. It's like, the best of the best going at it. So one has to consistently lose or not.
Oh.
Because like they knew the game, they knew the rules.
Yeah.
Maybe they have played before. They just never lost. Oh, I like that.
They've never lost.
Because in the very beginning, when we meet Sam, he's playing by himself, and then he says, oh, and then Sereno asks, where are the other guys? Where is so-and-so? Where is so-and-so? And then Sam responds, oh, I ran him out of town. I wonder if he chopped him up playing chop poker.
And he won every hand?
Yeah.
Probably.
Maybe.
He's just that good.
They're both that good.
I know, but they're playing 5-card draw as well. So it's also none of the games that they play, like the dice roll game or the Russian roulette game or even 5-card draw, it's like none of those are really skill-based games. Those are kind of just luck.
Yeah, and I mean, the poker game does require the most skill of all three. Mm-hmm. But even still, like you said, it does just depend on what you get dealt.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose you can get dealt 5 jacks, like whoever was playing against the Crypt Keeper.
Us.
Yeah.
I think it was us. This was you guys that was playing for the Jacks.
So they go back and forth for a little bit towards the end of the episode on losing limbs. But then the final scene, we close out in a hospital room where the 2 men are sitting without, they lost both their legs. They both lost their arms. They're just sitting there, like basically upper torsos and a head. And they're playing checkers and they're moving the checker pieces back and forth with their noses. So they've basically played every single game, probably losing all their limbs. And now all they can do is play checkers back and forth, moving the pieces with their nose.
Do you think that their side, like when they were playing chop poker, do you think that there was the people on either side were there to ensure that the limbs could be chopped off in case they lose both of their arms? Because they also have no legs in that scene when they cut to the hospital.
Oh, right. So basically, once they lose their legs and their arms, right? If I lose both my arms and legs and you still have an arm left and I win, how do I chop off your arm? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think...
And how does the game end? How did they end up in the hospital?
Right. Who brought them there? I wonder, once you lose your arms, it's like Hangman, right? Once you finally draw that last limb, the game's over. But in this game, it's like the opposite. Once you lose that last limb, maybe the game's over. Maybe they both lost the game and now they're just playing checkers, talking trash back and forth to one another.
Yeah, there's no winning in chop poker. I don't think there's any winning. So
oh, and the very last scene I want to talk about, right before we close out, I think it was Sam who said, pass the gum, because one of them is chewing gum. And they lean together and they touch foreheads and they get ready to pass the gum from one person to the next, almost as if they're leaning forward for a final kiss. This is a love story.
In a freeze frame.
This is an absolute love story. I'm so glad you brought that up because it would have gone by me completely. So the love story between these 2 men ends with a very romantic kiss. So we end back at the Crypt Keeper's lair, and the Crypt Keeper, for some reason, I don't know why, he's cooking. I don't know how that has to do with the episode, but he's frying up those fingers, and he says, I heard of giving someone the finger, but this is ridiculous. But at the risk of going out on a limb, I've got to hand it to Crevice and Forney. They'd do anything to elbow their way to the top. And that string of puns is going to get my my streak of the week. We go from frying up fingers to giving someone the finger, then the limb, then the hand, then the elbow. I love how he just goes through all the body parts. That's
great. I love the whole line, start to finish.
So as a whole, what do we think? What do we think about this episode?
I like this episode a lot. I was trying to see why John would have this as the best one, but honestly, after saying this is one of my favorite ones for the season currently. Too.
Yeah, it's definitely very good.
It's so memorable. It's fun, yeah.
I love the characters.
They're just so dripping with hamming it up.
This great episodes. Characters. I love how they each of the characters just managed to masterfully toe the line of camp and then serious and then kind of go back and forth. And when they went funny, when they went over the top, none of it was ever at the character's expense. It was just them. They were just genuinely being the characters that they were. It just happened to be very, very over the top characters. And but can you blame them? The stakes got higher and higher. The fear, the anticipation of, Russian roulette, I imagine would just send you soaring through, all kinds of emotions. And then when you finally get the click, the relief must be so, you can see it on their faces. So they're already kind of over the top characters. And then you put them in a situation where the stakes are so high and the fact that they love gambling so much. It makes for just so much fun. It is a lot of fun to watch. Good one. Out of five, what would you give this episode?
Okay, I'll give it a 5.
I didn't see that one coming.
I had a feeling.
If you get a hand pick whatever episode you want to be part of, I suppose you're going to pick the 5s.
I really enjoyed this episode, honestly. But seeing that you were able to retcon your score last time, I think I'm okay with giving it like a 4 or 4.5. because in the future, if I think this is my favorite one, I could just bump to a 5 for this season. So I will give it like I'll give it like a 4.5 for now.
4.5.
Just in case.
I love how the floodgates are open now. I give it a 2, and then next week I change my mind. I want to give.
Let's just be safe. Give everything a 3. Yeah. I
am gonna go with a 4.5 dice rolls, so 4.5.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. 4.5 items. What would yours be, John? 5 what?
Fingers.
5 fingers.
Show me fingers. All right, so 4.5 and a 4.5 and a 5 for an average of what's that going to be? 4.666. Is that what it is?
That'd be an amazing score line.
4.5 times 2, and then divide that by 3 is 4.666. How about that?
It's a lucky numbers.
All right, I want to move into correspondence. So we have some listeners out there who messaged us. We have a message from Joseph Hill, writes back on YouTube. He says, "Hey guys, I just watched the ranking episode. I think my criteria for ranking is similar to Godden's in that I rank them more by my personal enjoyment than which is objectively considered better." So we definitely talked about that during our ranking. Mm-hmm. And because our numbering systems were a little off from our actual ranking. So
right.
He goes on to say, "I agree with Kenny. Lover Come Hack to Me is probably my least favorite episode." So he puts that in 6th place. In 5th place, he puts All Through the House. He said, "Not that it's a bad episode. I just don't love it as much as most do." So he put that at 5th, which I definitely don't agree with. But to each his own. So that's his 5. 4th, he puts in Only Sin Deep. 3rd, he puts in The Man Who Was Death. 2nd, Collection Completed. And number 1, Dig That Cat. That was Joseph Hill's ranking. Oh, and he goes on to say, "I love it. I love this Joseph Hill. I love that he keeps giving us trivia. You may notice something very similar about the Crypt Keeper and Chucky. Since both were designed by effects artist Kevin Yeager, he used the exact same eyes on both characters."
Wow.
Classic.
How about that? And E-Chair, our friend E-Chair from YouTube as well, messages us. His favorite episode from season 1 was The Man Who Was Death. That was his favorite. Which was your least favorite, Godden. E-Chair also messaged us. By the way, I know it sounds like we're going way backwards, but we do film, 2 or 3 episodes at a time sometimes. So we're anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks ahead. So sometimes when we get to your comments, it's just because this is how far we are on recording. So E-Chair also writes about Dead Right, which is the episode we did a couple episodes ago. He says, "I feel sorry for Charlie for being deceived." Remember, Charlie was the giant one who married the Demi Moore character. And now he does need to make an effort to become more appealing, but he did feel sorry he was deceived by him. I can kind of see that, but Charlie was just such a gross character that I guess there wasn't much room in my heart to feel sorry for the guy. I'm sorry. It was so grotesque of a character. E-Chair also tells us that the electric chair was the same in The Man Who Was Death as well as this episode, Dead Right. They use the same chair. So a lot of the prop department probably just use a lot of the same stuff throughout their episodes. So thanks for that trivia, E-Chair. Keep it coming. Now, I want to move on to shout outs at this point. John, there's something very special about your girlfriend in this case. She is also part of a podcast. The podcast is called Teach Her Ama. Your girlfriend, Kayla, has never seen Futurama. So her and her brothers are going through and watching all of the episodes and talking about each one in a very similar way that we're talking about Tales from the Crypt episodes. So that's a lot of fun. I listened to that as well. Her brothers are both, into Futurama and know a lot more about it. And then she has never seen an episode, so she's able to give her reaction to the episodes. So do those episodes come out monthly or weekly? How does that work out?
Generally speaking, it does. They do come out about once every week or week and a half.
Okay. So I do listen to that. Yeah. Futurama, by the way, is my favorite adult cartoon. It's phenomenal. I love Futurama. In fact, if her and her brothers didn't come up with that idea of doing, going through all the Futurama episodes, I'd be happy to do something like that on my end as well. But, I'll commit to Tales from the Crypt in the meantime.
Tales from the Crypt, great choice. There's so many great choices.
Mm-hmm.
Godden, do you watch Futurama?
I've only seen a handful of episodes. I had a friend who really loved Futurama, so he would show me whenever he could have, but I never really like just watched it myself. But I heard that they would take it off air, then come back on air, then take it off air, and then come back on air. So I thought it was pretty cool that they always came back. Like no matter what, like I guess they're just that good that they can't come back.
It does. It burns out. It fizzles out. When I say fizzles out, I don't mean like the quality went bad. I mean like it'll just end and then it'll be gone for a few years and then it'll come back. Every time it's done that, I always think, oh boy, here it comes. It's going to be ruined, right? They ended on a high. It was a great show. They're going to come back and it's going to be awful. And no, it never happens. Every time they come back, it's a great show. I love every season. Almost every single episode is so great. It's such a good show. If you're interested in checking out a new podcast, you can listen to Teach Her Ama, Teach, Teach, Her, Her, Ama, Ama, Teach Her Ama. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, you can go listen to it there. There's also the Crypt podcast. Come listen to us. My name's Kenny. I can also be found at Too Bad About Kenny. That's Too Bad TOO, as well as Too Bad, the number 2 Bad About Kenny. Both of those channels I have, you can, one of them I use to review movies and books and whatnots. And the other one I use to stream video games. Godden, where can they find you?
Well, they can just find me on Twitch. I do stream occasionally at UAPP06. And they can also find our Twitter handle at the Crypteekers. Oh, actually, no, it's just Crypteekers. It's just
Crypteekers. Okay. Crypteekers on Twitter. Thank you for setting that up, by the way, Godden. I would not be able to. I've never used Twitter. And John, you've got a Twitch channel. I've watched a couple of your Twitch streams, but you haven't done so in a long time. Are you thinking about picking that back up?
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm just, you can't find me.
And John as just some dude.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we hope to see you on the Cryptique podcast next week when we talk about season 2, episode 4, Till Death is what it's called. If you want to follow along, watch that episode on your own and then tune in next week to hear us go on about it. If you send us any thoughts or comments, we'll get back to you and respond to those on upcoming podcasts. Take care, everybody. I hope you enjoy yourselves. We'll see you all next week. Goodbye.
Well, how was that for a scream, boys and ghouls?
And just like that, we had another episode in the bag.
Imagine it was not recording.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine?